Hello and welcome to Taylor's Analysis. I am your host, Coleman Taylor. Today we will be discussing the Gibbons versus Ogden Supreme Court case. I will be using the OEA database for this case in today's video. If you have yet to hear about OEA and are interested in other Supreme Court cases, I highly recommend checking it out. It is a wonderful resource from Correll's Legal Information Institute, Justa, and the Chicago Kent College of Law. You may wonder why this case is so important and how it affects us now. Well, we will discuss this in more depth later in the video. I will now read OEA's facts about the case to give you some background. The New York state law gave Robert R. Livingston and Robert Fulton a 20-year monopoly over the navigation on waters within state jurisdiction. Aaron Ogden and other competitors tried to forestall the monopoly. Still, Livingston and Fulton largely succeeded in selling franchises or buying competitors' boats. Thomas Gibbons, a steamboat owner who did business between New York and New Jersey under a federal coastal license, formed a partnership with Ogden, which fell apart after 3 years when Gibbons operated another steamboat on a New York route that belonged to Ogden. Ogden filed suit against Gibbons in New York State Court and received a permanent injunction. The New York State Court rejected Gibbons' argument, asserting that the U.S. Congress controlled interstate commerce. In this case, the Supreme Court adjudged whether the Commerce Clause gives Congress authority over interstate navigation. In the case's conclusion, it was decided that the New York monopoly was void under the Constitution's Supremacy Clause because it conflicted with federal law. To better understand this, we need to understand the Supremacy Clause. Article 6, Paragraph 2 of the U.S. Constitution, better known as the Supremacy Clause, is a section of the Constitution that states, in simple terms, that the federal Constitution and its powers take precedence over both the state constitutions and state laws. Part of the powers of the federal government holds is to regulate interstate commerce. As stated in Justice Marshall's conclusion of the case, as interstate navigation falls under interstate commerce, New York could not interfere with it, and the law was therefore invalid. To further understand how something as simple as a steamboat running a relatively short route is essential, we need to know how commerce was conducted at the time and the trade span. At this point, the United States was only a third of its current size, and most of that land was uninhabited. The largest population centers in manufacturing were around the original colonies turned states. Of those, New York and New Jersey were vital. In this period, regulating this passage would be like regulating modern trade on Interstate 10 or 30, both passing through Texas, but span coast to coast. For its time, the flow of goods through this area was a significant boon to whoever controlled it, making it extremely important to protect. Before this decision, states had more flexibility in licensing and regulating commerce as it came past their state. Still, this decision rendered those privileges moot and placed them under the complete control of the federal government. While some claimed that this was too controlling and gave the federal government too much power, ultimately it gave precedence to the Commerce Clause and other sections derived from the 10th Amendment. One such impact today is that drivers and marriage licenses are recognized across state lines. Even today, the Gibbons versus Ogden decision is still interpreted as it was in 1824. When it comes to regulating interstate commerce, meaning commerce that crosses state lines, the federal government has the full authority to regulate it as it sees fit, as long as the rights of the individual citizen are not breached. This decision is still used today and was even used in Maryland v. Louisiana 451 U.S. 725 in 1981. The Gibbons versus Ogden case was crucial in giving the federal government the power to regulate its historical purpose, which is handling interstate matters. This law is necessary for relations regarding trade and licensing to be as reciprocal as they are today. Now that we have clarified its modern-day relevance, we ask the more significant question: should this still be taught in some college classes today? My answer to that is a resounding yes. The Supreme Court case is one of the backbones of the current federal government's power. Today, we teach about our individual rights regarding constitutional amendments, yet many need to understand that our states also have their own set of rights. This case, while one in many, was extremely important in defining those rights. Suppose we must understand what our state has the legal authority to do. How can we, the people, ensure the state governments where we live do everything they can to serve the people? To better help young Americans become educated in our state's rights, I feel that a course attached to government studies, reviewing cases such as Gibbons v. Ogden and other monumental cases, will help us ensure that we are truly educated in our rights and the rights of those who represent our interests. This fundamental change in curriculum will help all Americans understand that the states represent us. There are some things that they cannot promise to do simply because they do not have that power in the first place. While we all learn about the federal government and how it works, for many, the state's governmental structure and purpose is a mystery, one that should be widely understood because they are who we affect the most when we vote. Thank you for listening to Taylor's Analysis. I am your host, Coleman Taylor, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.